Already, yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Really Bogus, Wagner, Painter, Davis,
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
All right, our agendas here, we have our minutes for the May 23rd meeting. So,
I made those changes. I made those changes.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I notified Tiffany, I just saw a couple where we had changed the name to Community Fest. We refer to it as Fall Festival, so it's a minor little thing. But, so anyway, is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Really Bogus,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
4-0, I'm sorry.
Okay, in your package, you have the treasurer's report. Is there any questions? If not, I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion approved.
Second.
Davis,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Really Bogus,
Yes. Okay, on the investments, you have your investment report in your packets also.
I did have one question on that. On investments, I know the usage rate went down on 9 and 12. Was that just typo?
No. They said they really do, they do not want to invest for 9 and 12 months.
Okay.
So that's why they've got it so low.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. There's more than competitive at the 6 months, so.
Yes.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the investment report?
Motion.
Second.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Really Bogus,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
4-0.
On to our bills. So, those on your packet, reviewed, total bill $1,137.55. Is there any questions on the bills?
I had all my questions answered before the meetings.
Oh, aren't you good?
Mhm.
I just have one quick question. I know I probably should have asked this before. I just need clarification. On the Verizon wireless where it says call outs and it says an amount. Is that like I don't see that every time. So is it just, I don't know what that piece is.
It's for the can exclude the mic and expand on that, but it's for the web stations, and so.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. That's all good. I'm good.
I make a motion that we approve the bills in the amount of $81,137.55.
I'll second that.
Rapp,
Yes.
Really Bogus,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
4-0.
Before Debbie leaves, can I just make a comment out of order?
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you to the staff, to everybody, the guys, the gals. Last Friday night was fabulous. I was just so proud to be, a community member of St. Joe and see all the work. And I know you guys had to work a lot to make that all happen. And we really appreciated it. It was really very nice. So thank you.
I'll share that with everyone.
I want to include Nori in that on the chamber end. She also helped.
Thank you,
help with
Nora.
the chamber and get the businesses involved. So, yes, it was definitely a great community effort, and having the community show up as they did, and some outside the community. We had a lot of people, my understanding, outside the community. So, anyway, but yes, the girls worked very hard, so.
We had
I think-
fun
I think
doing
they
it.
had a little feedback to
You looked cute too. You looked cute.
Sure.
They were very
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see no public comment unless Nora has something she'd like to share tonight. Thank you, Debbie.
Bye, Debbie.
Then we'll just move on down to new business. So the first item on the new business is, listed here in exhibit number 5 is the purchase of the John Deere 1025R for $25,190.57. The information is in your packet as far as the details. In regards, this is part of our equipment replacement plan, this piece of equipment, so it wasn't anything that was new, it was part of the planning that they've done with the equipment.
Well, I would like it discussed, but I'm not gonna vote for it one way or another. I would like it tabled until the full board is here. That being said, I have a few questions on the equipment. One, Mike, Luke,
Yep,
are you looking to get a belly mower for this?
no,
No,
we don't need one.
Then I'll definitely be voting against it. Because you need to have equipment that you could use for other purposes, other dedicated strictly for the winter time to plow out the side for a few months.
That's
it's not dedicated.
for pulling the water wheel and taking care of that. We already have 2 mowers that can do the job. So no, that's why we did not get a belly mower for it.
And we will also be using it for dragging the diamonds.
Yes.
Okay. How big a belly mower could you get if you decide to purchase one?
I don't know. We'd have to go back and check. We didn't want one because we already got 2 more. So we didn't need a third more belly mower that would set all the time. So
So here's the deal. We priced this piece of equipment, which is technically specialty equipment, to perform the job and replace the recent equipment. So it's going to be used as a sidewalk plow, just not downtown, one sidewalk on every street, the bike path, and then also pulling the water wheel out, and then also as well as dragging the diamonds. We specified the tires and all that. So there's nothing else that piece of equipment is used for. That Ford mower is not used for, a 96 Ford mower is not used for anything else other than those. So that's why we priced it the way we did. And we went through John Deere because we are also a member of Sourcewell, and we got a government discount. And it also came in, I will say, 29,000 plus under what we budgeted for. And it's a brand new piece of equipment. Me and Mike went and looked at it. We test drove it at John Deere, then had them bring it out here just to make sure it fit the footprint and the clearance height wise, just so we knew it was the right piece of equipment. We're just following the equipment replacement plan. And I thought it was very impressive that it was under what we budgeted for. So that way we can save that money for the next year.
So Luke, I'll jump in there and say that maybe we could separate the issues here. Maybe we could say that this piece of equipment will replace what the Ford, whenever we sell it, it'll do what the Ford is doing. It'll have a summertime and a wintertime use. So there's that. That's one set of facts right there. I guess the question, break it down a little further for us, is you want to add a mower attachment to it in the case that we might need it for $3,000 to $5,000, whatever that mower attachment might cost. So maybe I don't want to just detract from this, because this is a pretty quality deal. They did a lot of research and they did find something that was appropriate. And so if you're fine with the tractor, I don't necessarily want to just scrap the idea of the tractor if the debate is really over whether or not we get the.
You can always add a mower. Another question I would have, did you look at Kubotas? I mean, I'm not against the John Deere, but did you compare a Kubota?
Kubota,
But like I say, John Deere's on state bid. We don't know about Kubota if it's on a state bid or not.
they could not produce. We talked to both Berkey's and John Deere, and Berkey's could not produce something similar as quickly as what we did. And we've been working on this for a month and a half.
Okay.
We'll say that when we started this and we got our quote, we had to extend it again, and the price may go up because that bid is up, I believe, on the 26th.
Yes, 26th of June.
We have our next board meeting the 27th. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys would just respect what we went through and trying to find the right piece of equipment, that would be appreciative. And what we recommend, because we use it every day. And when it's needed, it's needed.
I ask a question?
Yes.
So if you decided you needed this mower attachment later, can't you do that later?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do it later. Yes.
It has a power takeoff on the back. It also has a 3-point hitch. We can eventually, in the future, buy special attachments that we think that are fit, just like the skid steer, that we could, if we find something in the future that we need, that this tractor can handle. And I will tell you, this thing is way smaller than the old John Deere that we had, that it doesn't even hook up to that water wagon. And I don't even think it would pull it with 250 gallons of water. It's a miniature tractor. So that's why we went with this, to replace and not get too crazy with the price and then the equipment.
So,
And
go ahead, Mike.
And then down the road, if we wanted to buy the belly mower, you'd buy it outright through parts. You would not get a discount on it. So
I guess, just before we just debate it anymore, I guess, to get everybody's impression on it is, do you agree that there's two issues here? That one, do you like the piece of equipment for the uses that we've already identified that it can do without the mower? And then two, are you committed? Do you want to just go ahead and get the mower deck, or do you want to wait and see and then understand we can buy it later on?
Well, on the mower deck, I'm not against going ahead and get it later on. With that, I mean, I respect that they looked at it and all that, but they said they didn't know if they got a state discount from Kubota. I am concerned, I don't ever see that hooked up to the water wagon. If it's hooked up to the water wagon, my recommendation is a 5-day dismiss or loss of time. And the next time 15, the next time 30, and the third time termination.
As I-
That's, I'm not gonna discuss that
Okay.
tonight at all.
This
All
can't
the
even
time.
hook up to the water wagon. This
Yeah.
cannot
No.
be to the water wagon.
no.
This discussion, I don't want it to be based on the water wagon. That's not what we're talking about here tonight. I guess we need to focus on whether or not we're gonna purchase this particular tractor for the uses that you guys have mentioned, and that was not included in the water wagon, so.
Are you steadfast on the satellite radio for this?
That radio comes we're not paying for satellite radio. That because the guy that's taking care of all the downtown plowing and all the streets that we plow, the sidewalks, that is all so we can have a radio in there, because most of them are wearing earbuds
Right.
in there. So, and Bluetooth to their phone. So we included that.
So
I
we
don't know.
won't be renewing this Sirius XM radio subscription.
You have to buy into that, and the
You
village.
have-
Buy
yeah.
that.
You have to buy that. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 months free, but then, yeah, then you have to do the prescription. But like say, we won't do the subscription for that. Yeah.
So here's my deal. Okay. So I don't pretend to be, I respect you guys, the board of trustees, the mayor, the village administrator. I don't pretend to be an electrician, dean of students, business owner, or anything. I thought we actually did a really good job trying to get something under budget by almost $30,000 to replace a piece of equipment that's almost 25 years old. So, and I've done this for a while. So I would just hope you guys would respect our request to purchase this, because we went through a lot of trouble to do this. And if we don't, then we're gonna have to go back and get another quote and drag this out. And all the dealers think it's a joke. And it makes us, me and Mike, look embarrassing.
So
We're the
we,
one
You
day
keep
in,
going back, they're just gonna up a percentage of what they want for it too at the same time. We keep going back and doing that. So yes, we've done this in the past too, and that's what's hurt us.
so with the vehicle replacement fund, we established that by ordinance. And so part of it is we're establishing an acquisition process. And so you did your part by approving the schedule of equipment to your place at the onset. And you approved the budgeted amount for said equipment. And so you gave staff a budget. And staff went out with that budget number in mind and found something that was significantly under what the original budget was. If in the future staff comes back and says, so like we budgeted 50,000. So if we would have came in and said, you know, we know you only budgeted 50,000, but we really want you to spend 59,000 on this tractor. Then I think that you should definitely really scrutinize that. With the margin here, I don't think there's a lot of risk in going ahead and acquiring this, especially since it will do all season stuff for us. It'll be utilized throughout the year. And if we want to go ahead and get an extra, because we just had a mower go down not too long ago. So, you know, maybe in maybe not this season, but maybe next season we decide we want to get the attachment. Like Luke and Mike were saying, there's options to add different types of attachments that we can do later on. It's pretty versatile, which is theme that we're trying to go down with the skid steer purchase and with this. And so that's kind of where our theme is trying to be, is to have multiple uses for pieces of equipment.
Now, will it pull the roller?
No, it will not.
if you wanted to pull the roller, it would be a tractor about double that size of what we're buying. But we also have an agreement with the high school. We borrow their tractor and roller, and we roll our fields.
How heavy is that roller?
Oh, it's probably 2 or 3 ton, I would say. It's all concrete. Yeah, it's a heavy roller. Yes.
It's old school.
Yep.
It's going to last a long time.
And I say, we work with both schools and the township and all that. We trade back and forth. So yes, so they need something, we honor it. And like I say, if we want something, they honor it too. So yes.
Or another option is we don't have to plow those sidewalks in the wintertime. So we could say we don't want to do that, and then whenever the board dies and it becomes too expensive to replace versus what it's worth, then we can discontinue that service. So that's always another option for us as well, if you want to do that. I've never been in a community where we do it all throughout the whole town, so it's a pretty rich service, and not a lot of people say thank you for it, to be totally honest. But that's your other decision point too, is if you want to get rid of the service, you can. But if you want to continue the service, something like this is needed. And the Ford is pretty old and they've done a good job taking care of it, but you know, we try to get ahead of things before they just die on us. That's what we're trying to do.
And I appreciate it because that's what you guys, you and the Public Works have been working hard to establish a schedule of getting things done and in a timely and efficient way so that we can be prepared for these capital improvements over time. And the only thing I'm going to say is that I do respect the guys' work that they put into going out and getting bids and figuring out, because they are the ones who use it day in and day out. I'm not out there using the equipment on a regular basis, so I don't feel that you know, I would be a good person to go out and shop around for the tractor that they need. So that's why I'm going to trust that, you know, we hire them to do their job and they do their job well. And when it comes to these equipment purchases, then I have to trust that they know exactly what it is that they need to make their jobs, you know, easier and more efficient to do what we want them to do for the community. So, I guess I'm looking at, if nobody has any other further questions for the guys, then I guess I'm looking for a motion.
I feel uncomfortable voting without the full board. I understand their need and all that. I won't make the recommendation, but if somebody wants to make a motion, yeah.
We need his vote.
He needs a second to that table.
He didn't make a motion. I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the John Deere 1025R for $25,190.57. And if we need to do the mower or add any parts, we do so later.
I'll second that motion.
Erling Bogus,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rack,
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Moving on to the next item of our business is regards to the proposal from Clark Deeds for our GIS implementation. And I'll have Joe kind of go over that a little more. The information's in the packet that kind of breaks down the explanation. So if you've got questions, to refer them to Joe. And then Joe, if you wanted to summarize a little bit on how that would all work, since it is something new that we're doing here in the village, so.
So back last summer, we opted into, and it took a while with them, but we opted into the Champaign County GIS Consortium with Mahomet, Ransville, Savoy, Champaign-Urbana, and University of Illinois. And we're a part of that now. And as part of that, we have the ability to start uploading our layers to the system. And we need the engineers to do a lot of that. Eventually, as we start to get more and more uploaded to the system, we'll be able to train staff internally here to utilize it more. But there's so many layers of infrastructure that we have to get uploaded and a lot of paper records. We need Clark Deeds to step in and do that. In your packet, I gave you the memo back from May of last year when this all started. Whenever Nicholas was kind of proposing what it would look like for us to implement that. And then I've included a new updated memo. There's a $50,000 total fee figure, and that's over 3 to 4 years. That's a up to amount estimate for what it would cost staff time wise to implement and add the layers needed. And that's part of it. And it's also one of those things that it'll continue to build upon itself over time as well. So with that said, you already approved this and set all of this in motion last summer. I just wanted to follow up since we got a little bit more concrete figures of what the professional services time is going to look like that goes into it. Just to double and triple check with everybody. And then, we can go from there. So I've already been attending the GIS consortium meetings over at Brookins. I've been to 3 so far. And so it's going well. There's a, you know, the folks, the communities that are there already. They've been a part of the consortium for years at this point, and so they're so far ahead of us. So, but it is nice to see, you know, how it's a super handy tool. So I'm excited for us to get it up and going. So basically, I just need you all to just weigh in. If you're okay with it, then we'll go ahead and proceed, and then Clark Dietz will, I'm assuming, add it to our general services agreement, and we'll just go from there.
And that's stuff that our employees will be working hand in hand with them too, to hand off that information, and then over time, we'll also learn how to use the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, there's just so much upfront that in order to get it online, so we can begin to utilize it. There's just so much upfront. We need the engineers to really jump into it. GIS is so specialized that it would take, you know, we need some help getting it going.
I'm good with continuing on with what we agreed upon last May, so thank you.
Do we need a formal vote on that?
I'd
or
like
just,
I'd like the motion, yeah.
I make a motion that we continue on with the GIS implementation as identified last year.
Davis,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rack,
Yes.
Ruling Bogus.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's gonna be great for the future of the village to have all that information.
I
in
saw
place.
this up at, IML. 18 or 19. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Sat in on conference for this, just almost mind.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a great tool.
Joe, you said this was approved last summer, last year?
Last,
May 4th.
yeah, last summer yes. And it took us, and I'll have to give you the resolution. There's an ordinance number when we had to opt into the consortium. And we had to approve an intergovernmental agreement. It took a while, and we didn't get all that approved until the fall, the ordinance, but the board at their level initiated it last summer, so. I can get you the ordinance number if you want that to revert to.
Whatever you want. I just put that it's to approve the proposal from Clark Dietz on GIS information at a cost of up to $15,000. As it's a continuation of the project approved last year. Is that good?
Yeah, that sounds.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's okay with you?
Okay,
Okay,
the third item of new business is just in reference to the solar discussion, and this is just for discussion purposes. Everybody, Joe had given us information on the solar programs, leasing versus purchasing. Hopefully some of you have a chance to review some of that a little bit. But then he's also added in our package, just kind of condenses that down a little more with like kind of pros and cons. So I don't know how, because I said we won't continue any further deeper discussions, you know, until we have everybody here. But do you have any quick questions that you want Joe to further investigate on? Or any remarks on the information that he's put in here, or what you've reviewed already, or?
Well, I discussed with him about the brand of the manufactured solar panels, and that was from a friend. I encountered, discussed with him. I didn't realize, I thought a solar panel was a solar panel, but I guess it's not. And I don't want a commercial array if they're a different brand. I mentioned him, I think it was Panasonic, was what I was told, was one of the top of the line. They had a longer lifespan. After 25 years, they had about a 92% rate where they work. But with the technology on the solar panels advancing what they are, 25 years, this could be very antiquated. I'd be more comfortable leasing, to tell you the truth.
That's kind of how I'm leaning at this point. I mean, even when you look at the numbers that Joe had in the packet, there's not a huge difference between what, the end results financially wise and what we're saving versus buying versus leasing. And I agree with Art. I think, the risks that you take are far less with the lease program, especially with the technology that is, changing almost daily. And I look forward to continue to do that over the next several years. And I mean, who knows, in 20-25 years, solar panels might be this big. I mean, look at satellite dishes, when they first come out for TV, satellite dishes were huge, and now they're pretty small, out there. But so, just, and that happened in a pretty short period of time too, but so I guess that's kind of my leanings. I'm, all for, looking into whatever we can, but I guess that would be my direction right now that I would.
Well, we could be buying into a cylinder, by the same token, after talking to a contractor that builds them, what was portrayed in the county meetings, what I went to a couple, but listen how they did it, the questions I had, I think when they were here about that, a lot of those things could be precluded. I don't know whether the construction methods have changed that much, because the one that they portrayed it for the county, they just drove the pilings in. And they only withstand a 60-mile-an-hour wind, which is nothing.
That's not what these are. These
Yeah.
are set up on large concrete.
And that's what Tim was telling me, how he built an 80-acre field. And so, but the ones that portrayed the county, they were just driving. I don't think the county did their homework on all that.
Yeah, I mean, you got the leasing company that, they have an incentive because they're trying to make money on it too, and they don't start making their money until some years into the program. So they have an incentive to try to build it well enough to where it can withstand for a certain period of time. You just mentioned Solarindra, I'm gonna say it again. But this is kind of a fly-by-night industry at times. And so the risk is always that they could go belly up before the 25 years is up. And in that situation, the folks that are running the village at that point will have to figure out a solution for it. Because of,
You mean Scott?
yeah, 1.3 million. If over 25 years is a pretty big deal when you're building that $15 million sewer plant. And I think wherever we can offset, we should look to do so. So that's just a risk that's ever present. It's always going to be present with any type of business that you work with. There's always a chance they could go belly up, and then you're if you're building a building or whatever. However, yeah, it's the real decision point is that if you decide to go the ownership route, you've got to put the money up front. And so what you're saying is you only have so much dry powder, so to speak, to where you could deploy cash in any particular area, and you want to use up 1.4-ish million setting this up and debt, using that debt service while it pays itself off. So do you think that you will have a more pressing need for 1.4 million of debt service in the next 10 years to get it paid off in between that time? That's your real decision point, is the way I view it. But
Yeah, and I said, my thoughts are that, yes, I would much rather have that available for something a little more tangent, that, whether it's street improvement or, some other project within the village. I'd rather have that access to that cash, as opposed to, I'm just not a big speculator on things. I like a little more sure things. So, whether, that way, I'm not much a gambler, and that's what I believe. Leasing, I think we're a lot less at risk there.
I don't disagree with you.
So that's all right. Well, move on down, Joe, do you have anything to add for your updates?
Nope.
So, Tiffany?
No.
No, Mike and Luke?
No, other than the taste of St. Joe and our town went perfect. And we had a lot of people out there and we raised some money for the park fund and the staff did great.
Yeah, well, and I said, you guys did a great job on the cleanup too. I was still hanging around and practically by the time I was heading home, everything was pretty well cleared up in the street. WCIA's packed up and the bounce houses are packed up and so anyway, but yeah, thank you both for all the staff there on Public Works Department too. So appreciate it. So, and the town looked fabulous too. You guys did a lot of hard work leading up to the festival. And, you know, I think that was highlighted well too on camera, how nice and attractive our community looks. So thank you for that. So, anyway, I will, with my report, the biggest thing that I want to report, and I know I already passed on the information to Nora, and we have it on our website. It was just last month that I got to report that we were going to save big money on our electrical aggregation program, because that's what it looked like when we had our bids come in to home field. And it's, I almost, the day that I opened up our letter from home field stating, you know, that you had the option to opt out or whatever, stating that they were going to supply our electric energy, I got an email from Reg, who is our consultant, informing us that Illinois, Cameron, Illinois had, and I don't know why they don't bid it all at the same time, or but I know Ameren does it a little differently, but apparently Ameren got a lower bid, which I guess is kind of unheard of. Even all the companies wasn't expecting that to happen just because of how Ameren has to get their rates, I guess. But so I am encouraging everyone in the community to opt out of our electrical aggregation. As I stated, I think at that meeting, I accidentally called it the electrical aggravation program. and I say that again in kind of because it frustrates me. I tried to opt out because the program doesn't really start till July. So I got a hold of a consultant asking if there was any way I could opt out for the village, you know, since we have this community program. And apparently, once we're far enough into this contract with them, that was not an option. So I just want to, you know, have everybody, if you still have the yellow card that came in your envelope from home field, just to send that in. It's as easy as that to opt out. But there also is an 800 number that is easy to opt out, or it's not easy to opt out. So because it's told you're supposed to have your 10-digit Ameren account number.
They don't care about that.
That's not what they want.
No, it's 27 minutes to do opt out.
It's what?
27 minutes.
27 minutes is how much? So, well, and
we're not fully enrolled yet, so they can't really opt out, but they can put a note on it.
okay. So if you don't get your yellow card in, then maybe wait till after the 1st of July. Maybe it will be quicker and easier because we'll officially be in the program then. But
And some people didn't get a yellow card, never got the letter to start with and aren't in the program.
yeah, so yeah, no, it's frustrating. And once again, this is why I'm not a gambler, because you know, when they go out to bid on these prices, you know, that's always a risk that you take. Because you know, it's the marketplace with those electrical utility prices, you know, you're buying a commodity. And so in the past, it's been really well, it worked very well for us, and we've saved the community lots of money, you know, on their power bills by being a part of the program. And unfortunately, this time around, it didn't turn out so well. So
Wasn't it a huge savings and then Ameren came back with even a bigger savings? So what's?
Well, Ameren's price that they were able to get, purchase their electricity was 7.877 cents per kilowatt hour. And ours that we had gotten, was 8.66.
So when you signed the agreement, it was a huge decrease at
It was-
that time.
Well, yes, it was all speculative. They were expecting Ameren was gonna go up quite a bit because of the green energy and different things, and because they've shut down so many of the coal and different things, they were expecting that Ameren's would have to be considerably higher. So yeah, the big gamble was, oh gosh, Ameren, we're gonna save lots of money. Because Ameren's gonna have to jump this high, because that's what they're gonna have to buy their electricity for. Well, somehow or another, that didn't happen that way, so. That's why we have a consultant to do it, because it is quite confusing, with the whole thing, but, unfortunately, this time the market didn't play out the way that they had anticipated it to play out, so. Anyway, so that's that. The notices, we have it up on the website on how to get a hold of the 800 number. And we'll have it posted here in the office too.
I did, can we put that on the sewer bill or something? I did have some people that aren't technically savvy, older people, ask if we had a way to let people know.
We can look at how, yeah, we
Or,
can try, we've only got so many, words, so we'll
right, or
figure,
if we could put a sticker on the back of it, maybe.
we can try to figure something out.
Because like Judy Foster said, she doesn't go on, she's not on Facebook, she doesn't go on the village website. And she said, if you hadn't told me, I would have no way of knowing.
Yeah,
So if we could think of maybe a way to tell people.
yeah. So, yeah, it's, yeah, they do the news release, but it's difficult these days to make them. So we've got North thing for getting information out, but.
But like a lot of people are not Facebook.
Yeah.
or older.
So, but
Now,
anyway,
on the Ameren rate, is that locked in for the summer?
it will be 12 months for sure is what they'll have.
Okay, that's what I wanted, because that was one of the things that Rick said before, that, that where Ameren might be, they could come in a month or two later.
Yeah.
Lower, but that's still well below. So boy, I think the rate they had locked in was 10 cents. 10 cents a kilowatt hour.
Well, in the past, home field hasn't always been one of the lower ones either. This time they were, they're bid came in lower, because we've usually had Constellation. But anyway, we sat out a year last year because the rates were all very high and stuff. So we'll watch it again this year and see what happens next year. But anyway, and the last thing that I was going to just bring up was, if you were following any of the year-end legislation stuff, there was a couple of things that I was just going to highlight that will affect the village. For one, they were able to get us a little bit of our state income money, our local share of the state income. We had been getting 6.16 per capita, and they moved it up to 6.47. So it's not a lot, but it's something. And then, but a couple of things that we'll just have to watch that was passed, and I'm sure the governor will sign them, is and that these will just increase costs to the village. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand, that a lot of the big things that occur in Springfield when they're passing all these crazy bills, and the number in the last few years. I know when I first became mayor and trying to follow the legislation, it was maybe 1,200 bills that was being passed through the year. And just in the last, since we have our new mayor, our new governor, it's up to 6,000 bills that are passed, and some of them are just craziness, but some of them that, and they read through them, some of them will affect us and some of them not so much, but for one, they take away our rights as a municipality to make decisions for our own community. Also for home rule communities who have more power than we do. I mean, we have to go by state legislation, state rules, since we're non-home rule community, but they're even dipping into the home rule communities. Say so on their communities with some of these legislation, but the couple of them that could very well affect us is they passed a bill to increase the prevailing wage. Used to be prevailing wage, only covered certain jobs. But they added some additional jobs that will now fall under the Prevailing Wage Act, which will be your sludge haulers, which will affect us on our cost of sludge hauling out of the sewer plant. Now, power washing, I don't know that we ever hire outside, to do power washing, but I just thought it was kind of a crazy one to add in there that now anyone who does power washing for certain things will, get the prevailing wage, but and any construction projects that have anything to do with your streetlights. So those things, and then the big one that kind of concerns me is they're passing a state building code, which in turn could affect us. I don't know if you've read anything too closely on that, but the way I understand it, that they would be putting some kind of state standards in as far as requiring us to have hire someone to abide by these building codes. So those are some things that we just need to watch, because in turn, that could cost the village money. If we have to turn and hire someone to, and that's always been something your bigger cities do, to go in and do building codes and things. Now, in our situation, it's usually been county building codes or state building codes. But so anyway, that will be one that we'll just have to pay attention to on how it will apply to us. And then also, by the way, all of you need to, and I'll have Joe follow up on how we go about doing it, but all of our employees and elected officials need to do their cybersecurity training online. These get that certified, just like we do with our sexual harassment, but they also now have a mandated cybersecurity one for us to do and be certified. So anyway, so that's my updates. And so I have nothing else. Trustees, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
No? So
Motion.